आय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवै गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone to today's session. And yesterday we discussed about the theme of mind. How mind is both the friend and enemy of a conditioned soul. And one must learn to deliver himself by the mind. One should not degrade himself uh, by distracted senses. Senses have natural tendency to get distracted, but we should engage them properly. So the controlled mind, such a controlled mind becomes the best friend of every living entity. And if the mind becomes uncontrolled, if the mind is not utilized properly, the same mind will become the worst of the friend of everyone. So that's why one who fails to conquer over his mind, he's getting cheated to him. He's getting cheated in his life. Then we started discussing about, because we are in the section called as Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Yesterday we also discussed about symptoms of a person who is in the Yoga Arudha stage. Yoga Arudha stage is the topmost stage of yogic perfection. So, what are the symptoms of such a person? So, first symptom of being advanced is Jita One has to conquer his mind. His mind is very, very controlled mind. Jita. Second is he is Prashantasya. Prashantasya means he is very, very peaceful and satisfied in his life. Then Paramatma Samahita. He has already taken darshan, or he has seen super soul in his heart. Then Sitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu Tatha Man Apamanayoho. So he said that such a person is Sita Ushna Sukha Dukha. He is not disturbed by all these dualities of the life. So dualities will come in the life, but such a person is not at all disturbed. Then Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. Jnana Vijnana. So he said he is very satisfied in his life, in Shastric knowledge. And then Kutasto Vijitendriya. Kutasto Vijitendriya means he is very again Jitendriya. You see the self-control word is coming again and again. Mind control, self-control. Because in the matter of yoga, this discipline is very, very vital. And then Samaloštratma Kanchana. Samaloštratma Kanchana means he sees pebbles, stones as good as stool only. Somebody's seeing the stone or in gold or stool or anything, everything is same for him. Why? Because he has developed a right vision now. And he says he has no enemies, he has no friends, he is equal to both enemies and friends. So he said this is the vital thing to be brought before starting the practices of yoga. So now, why this is being discussed now? So basically, there are 8 limbs of yoga which are there. So the upcoming verses which you are seeing now in this section, they're discussing about this eightfold practice of yoga. Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, dharana, dhyan. So like this different steps are there. So these are the 8 stages which are discussed in this shlokas. Now somebody may say, Prabhu, but certain we find sometimes niyam is discussed, sometimes yam is discussed, sometimes asana is discussed. Why like that? It doesn't appear to be in a very sequential order. So yeah. So one thing we have to understand that Bhagavad Gita is not talking about any of the your path of yoga in a sequence or in a like this, because Bhagavad Gita is an emergency book. Bhagavad Gita is not a book which is taught in a Gurukul with a very peaceful mind, and the disciples and gurus are sitting and the lecture is being done. So if you see about Bhakti Yoga also, many things are assumed while teaching Bhagavad Gita, that it is understood that this much knowledge will be there, and then Bhagavad Gita is spoken. So similarly, the Ashtanga Yoga section, it is not that this book is going to teach you what is Ashtanga Yoga fully. This book is just going to give you some brief details about what is Ashtanga Yoga. Very, very briefly, it will tell. It is assumed because the knowledge is given based on the level of the audience. So here you see Arjuna, he already knows. He already knows about other parts of yoga, that the goal of life is to meditate on Vishnu. This is all already known. So having taken this in background, the knowledge is given. Like for example, somebody has to choose a career. In the 10th standard, there is a very big challenge. Big challenge comes. Many people have a big confusion. How many of you had confusion in the 10th standard? Little bit. Whether you want to go for science or whether you wanted to go for commerce. Any one of you? Commerce. Okay. Some of you had challenges. So some of us we never had challenge. Like for me, science was very attractive. I liked science much more, so naturally science. And second is some people don't think only what is good, what is bad. So whatever everyone is doing, whatever parents tell, they chupchap do. So, but nowadays the trend has changed. The trend has changed. Nowadays people start thinking what is good for them. So many people, they in 10th standard they undergo 3 months career counseling course. 10th standard student is going career counseling course, and he gets exposed to all kinds of varieties of branches. So you see, in career counseling, the teacher is not supposed to tell in the depth what is commerce, what is science, what is medical, what is chartered accountant, what is this, what is military. He's just going to teach briefly about all the subject matters, because it is not that he has to go very detailed manner in all the fields. So similarly, somebody is now already engineering student. Now he's confused whether to go for AI, whether he's to go for cloud, or whether, then the knowledge will be given in depth. Little more depth will be given. Oh, this is that, this is that, this is that. Similarly, here in Bhagavad Gita, you see, in Bhagavad Gita the knowledge is not given in the very like a chronological order always, or in a very detailed manner. So Bhagavad Gita is not a book of Ashtanga Yoga. That's why too many details. So only just very few concepts are being touched here. Now, there are two things which I mentioned here. Like, in case you are not able to understand, अचानक कौन सा श्लोक कब क्यों आ रहा है अष्टांग योग में. So basically, all the shlokas are speaking about this 8 limbs of yoga. ध्यान, धारणा, प्रत्याहार, समाधि. तो इवन थोड़ा आपको समझ में भी ना आया कि कब कौन सा श्लोक आ रहा है, तो बेसिकली समझ जाओ कि दिस इज ऑल स्पीकिंग अबाउट धारणा, ध्यान, प्रत्याहार, समाधि. ये अष्टांग योग के 8 भाग जो है, वो कैसे हमारे जीवन में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इसको योग पद्धति करने के लिए. तो कल हमने देखा एक प्रिंसिपल कॉल्ड एज सेलिबसी. So I think we are discussing about the principle of celibacy. We did not touch it more yesterday. We could not touch it fully. So you see why this celibacy is being focused so much in all the paths of yoga. Celibacy is considered to be one of the very, very pivotal thing in the practice of yoga. Srila Prabhupada used to even appreciate Mahatma Gandhi. Srila Prabhupada used to say, Mahatma Gandhi fought without weapon. Mahatma Gandhi had nothing to fight. He was simple man, simple brahmachari. But he could actually, he got so much power because he was a grahastha brahmachari. Although he was a grahastha, he was a brahmachari. So that's why brahmacharya, the practice of brahmacharya allows us to use the energy which we have in a constructive manner, in a very, very constructive manner. So one's creativity, one's innovation, one's ability to discriminate, one's clarity of mind, this is all stored in the principle of celibacy. So if one breaks the principle of celibacy, then all this clarity of the mind, then the determination of the mind, and then the focus, and this all these things are wasted. So we don't come to know what is wasted when celibacy is broken, but this all things are wasted. So on the other hand, if someone follows the principle of celibacy very nicely, then what happens? Then all the energy which he has accumulated in his body, mind, and this all can be used for some vital purpose, something very vital. And what is that vital purpose? The biggest purpose is to understand the Shastras. The Shastras become very, very clear when somebody follows these principles very nicely. Now you may say, what is Swadhyaya of the Shastra? Somebody may say, one devotee was telling, Prabhuji, I also have a very habit of doing Swadhyaya every day. Then we asked, what is the Swadhyaya you do, Prabhu? So he said, I read around 1.5 hour newspaper every day. So this is not the Swadhyaya, 1.5 hour newspaper. You are just getting information, which is not going to be much always helpful. So just getting some brief headlines and news report is okay, good enough. But Swadhyaya requires a quality of intelligence. And this quality intelligence comes when one follows the principle of celibacy. So now celibacy can be practiced on multiple level. One is physical celibacy, then one is physical celibacy, then mental celibacy, intellectual celibacy, and spiritual celibacy. So I'm not going to go into much detail. Physical celibacy means physically restraining from the objects of sense gratification. Physically restraining. So that is possible. That at least that much should be done always. That should be always done. Physical celibacy should be always done. Then comes his mental, intellectual, spiritual. So on intellectual platform also, if we see why a person gets distracted is because he is currently on the gross platform. Even if somebody comes to intellectual platform, he can easily overcome this. He gets a lot of strength to say no to these wrong things. You know why? If you see very carefully, somebody is on the intellectual plane. Can you just consider somebody is a person who is an intellectual person. He thinks only by his intelligence. Such a person, if he sees any kind of some sexual activity, what he will think? What is so great about it? Huh? So there is nothing but a blood, bone, mucus, urine, stool, combination of all these things coming together, two urine producing organs coming together, and it appears to be a great joy. Somebody's kissing, and it is just a saliva of one person going into saliva of another person, and somebody thinks it's a very interesting activity. If you think from intellectual perspective, it appears so illogical, na? So illogical, it's so dirty thing. But lust blinds up a person. This is a problem. The lust covers the intelligence of a person. So in the practice of yoga, one has to first, it is said, one has to deal with this principle of lust. So he said, otherwise, yoga practice becomes very tough. So he said, intellectually also, you see, there is nothing so great about all these activities. It's just a medium to produce a child, nothing else. But the lust covers up the intelligence of a person, and lust makes person imagine so many sensual things. But there is nothing so great if you are on intellectual platform. But more than intellectual platform is a spiritual platform. Spiritual platform, one doesn't have to do jnana like this. This is body, this is stool, mucus. No, not like that. He understands everyone's position as a spirit soul. And everyone is given this current body for what purpose? Continuing his term in the material existence. So, like this he sees. So you see, there are different. So in yesterday's shloka, multiple topics came about 1 minute. Yesterday we discussed till which shloka, bro? 14, 15.
14 Guruji.
Just a minute. 6.40. Yes, bro. You can see here. So yesterday we discussed about various points. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayan achalam sthira samprekshya. So this all words came. Uh, so here the word came brahmachari, brahmachari vrate. So there are different aspects of yoga. So different aspects of yoga are spoken here, like how one should be a brahmachari. In the previous shloka, another word came. Another word came is Suchaudeshe, Pratistapya, that ahimsa. Many words will come ahead. That one should be following the principle of ahimsa. One should be disciplined. Now, why ahimsa principle is also very important. in practice of yoga. So it is said, ahimsa means what? So generally, all of us commit certain sorts of himsa to living entities. And because we cause trouble to other living entities, we get trouble in the life. So this is the simple principle. Because we cause troubles to other, we also get trouble in the life. Now, if we don't cause trouble to other living entities, then we are not also put in the trouble. So the path of yoga, the yoga Rudra stage means no trouble to anyone. So means control your breathing also in such a manner that you don't cause trouble to even other microorganisms also. To control your everything in such a manner, the path of yoga means don't cause trouble to any living entity, which is almost impossible. But that is the perfection of yoga. And it is said if you don't cause trouble to the living entities, they will also sense it and they will never create trouble for you. They will not produce any disease to you. They will not even produce mental problems to you. They will not even produce any kind of adi bhautik, adhyatmik, adi devik klesh to you. All these clashes are coming because we are producing himsa towards them. So he said, become ahimsa. Follow the principles of ahimsa. So that also principle will come. Then parigraha. So now there are certain things called as yam and there are certain things called as niyama. So what is yam and what is niyama? Yama and niyam. Okay, anyone can tell what is yam and what is niyam? Somebody would like to say what is meaning of yam? Okay, is yam means do or niyam means do?
EM means do.
Yeah, niyam means positive. Niyam and yam means don't. Negative. Hmm? So yam is mainly about what we should not do, and niyam is about what all things we should do. So generally, niyam niyam are given for personal benefit. Niyams are generally that for personal growth. Our personal growth, niyams are given, and for mass, for what we say. mm-mm, or especially for masses, for the mass discipline. For personal discipline, niyam are there. And for mass discipline, code of conduct, yam are given. Yam means mass discipline means, okay, when you are staying in a group of people, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Generally, they are like that. Niyam is mainly meant for personal growth. So, there are certain things which are very, very vital in practice of yoga. One is called as discipline. Now, what is this discipline? It is said discipline means what? Like discipline. So discipline brings about detachment. Discipline brings about detachment. That is the benefit of discipline. Now, how discipline will bring about detachment? Now, let's consider the principle of cleanliness. Now, why do we clean the body? Why cleanliness is so much emphasized? So it is said when somebody cleans the body very nicely, like we take 2 times bath, 3 times bath, wash the dhoti kurta, all these things when we do, then slowly, slowly what happens is we understand this body, it produces so much unclean. It keeps on getting unclean. We have to clean it, clean it, clean it, clean it, so much cleaning. Every part of the body is producing so much amount of dirt. Then, when somebody is disciplined like this, somebody follows the principle of cleanliness like this, then one also gets detachment. He gets detachment in his life. Oh, this body is so useless. Entire day I have to keep on cleaning it, cleaning it, cleaning it, cleaning it. Now, this is the sattvic way of producing detachment. But there is another way of producing detachment also. That is tamasic way. Tamasic way means don't clean the body at all. Don't clean the body at all, like some Nagababas do or other people do. But generally, such discipline doesn't bring detachment. Generally, this is a detachment born out of frustration. This detachment, when you don't follow tamoguna detachment is a frustration one detachment. But sattvic detachment means discipline. So anything when we do in a disciplined manner, slowly, it will bring about detachment from that activity. So that's why in yoga, in the path of yoga, discipline is being given. Discipline. Like suppose somebody is very addicted to eating sweets. It's called discipline it. Eat once in a week on one particular day only. Don't eat every day. So then slowly he understands, oh, why I have to eat so much sweet at all. There is no need of sweet. Then he gives up sweet also. He produces detachment from that. So discipline brings about detachment. Now austerity. Austerity removes impurity. Discipline brings detachment. Austerity removes impurity. All the impurities are removed when we follow the principle of austerity. That's why so many austerities are there. Get up early in the morning, chant rounds, do this, do fastings. So whatever sorts of impurities we have got, and whatever weakness of mind we have got, weakness of mind, the stamina of mind has reduced. So now it requires austerity. Such a person should do a little bit austerity now. If the mind is constantly cheating us, then that means some austerity is required. Punishment is required. Austerity is like a punishment. And somebody takes this punishment voluntary. It has to be voluntary. Hmm? It is not क्या कहते हैं forceful austerity. It's a voluntarily done austerity. Then what happens? His mind becomes little more stronger. So if mind is very weak, then austerities are recommended. Then discipline brings about detachment. And dedication brings about devotion. So if somebody is dedicated to his doing his activities very nicely, he's doing sevas nicely, then that brings about devotion. So this is the way of path of yoga works. So coming to the now next theme. Yeah, 14th one. 15th. योगी नियतमानसः शान्तिं निर्वाणपरमं मत्संस्थानधिगच्छति.
Translation. Thus, practicing constant control of the mind, constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by sensation of material existence. Purport. The ultimate goal is practicing yoga. In practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material futility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita. Nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that the place where there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Paramdham or the superior abodes. A, consummate, a consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord Himself. Matchitta Matprana Matsthanam can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishna Loka, known as Golok Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita 5.37, it is clearly spoken, Golok eva nivasatya kilatma bhuta. The Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka, is all pervading Brahman and localized Paramatma. as well by the dint of his superior spiritual energies. No one can reach the spiritual Kaya Vaikuntha or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai mana Krishna Padaravinda. In the Vedas also, we learn Tameva Vidivati Mrityum iti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. In other words, perfection of yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feast to be full innocent.
So Prabhupada is writing, this is very nice, na? It's not some magical jugglery or some gymnastic feats. Yoga is not just about this, but perfection of yoga is to get the freedom from material bondage. Then another statement of Srila Prabhupada which I liked here is, this is very, there is no void anywhere in the creation of the Lord except in the mind of a impersonalist. Prabhupada makes a joke. There is no void anywhere in the creation except the intelligence and the mind of a impersonalist person or a scientist. So those scientists who say that everything is void, Prabhupada says their mind is only void. Mind में कुछ नहीं है, खाली भरा है, mind में कचरा भरा है, कुछ नहीं भरा है. So he said that's why they're seeing the void everything. So the ultimate goal of practicing yoga is what? That is to stop the samsara. That's why so many disciplines are being given. Stop the samsara. Okay. 16th one. Nati ashantastu yogisti ekatmana anasnatah na chati swapnashilasya jagruto naiva charjuna. So discipline. So now there is a discussion on discipline. How in the path of yoga, discipline is very important.
There is no possibility once becoming a yogi. O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Perfect. The regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not offered to Krishna will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. Bhunjate te tva agam papaye pachanti atma karnat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allocated to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of food stuff offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one artificially abstain from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. He does not fast or eat more than is required, and he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 hours is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga.
So here, how to become steady in the practice of yoga. So some basic, very gross things are being mentioned here. Very, very gross. So he said the two things in the path of discipline. If in one word, it is asked to you, what is the meaning of discipline? So discipline in short words in the path of yoga is only two things. Regulate your and sleeping. If these two things are managed very properly, na, the person can become the best possible the manager of the entire world. That's it, regulate your eating and sleeping. And especially for devotees, this is the most important vital thing. So many times devotees say, bro, time management अच्छे से नहीं हो रहा है, जीवन अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है, जीवन में ये प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, वो प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, ये चल रहा है, वो चल रहा है, एंड सब कुछ हरी बोल माला नहीं हो रहा है. Most important thing is they are not sleeping on the time. If anyone who sleeps on the time before 10 a.m. Best is before 10 a.m. Unless there should not be any special reason for us to go beyond 10 a.m. Sleep before 10 a.m. and if possible as early as possible. 9:30, 9 a.m. Night sorry, not a.m. like p.m. 10 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. That is a good time to sleep. So if somebody wants to discipline his life or reset his life, if you find your life is going very chaotic situation in a chaotic चल रहा है सब कुछ तो जीवन में एक टारगेट लो. जीवन का गोल एक ही बनाओ, 9:30 p.m. के पहले सोना. कुछ समय के लिए इतना गोल बना लो जीवन का, 9:30 पहले के सो जाओ बस. यू सी हाउ योर लाइफ रिसेट्स. दिस इज अ लाइफ रिसेट बटन. जब भी लाइफ इधर उधर जाए, सो दिस इज द आर्ट ऑफ रेगुलेशन. व्हाट? स्लीप अर्ली. The person who will sleep early naturally will wake up early. Naturally will wake up early. He will complete his rounds, and you see everything will go perfectly in his life. So generally, all the health problems, diseases in the body, everything is there mainly because of not sleeping properly, too much, or either sleeping too late, too little, or sleeping late nights. So discipline means sleeping before 10 p.m. I can say this is the golden rule of spiritual life. Once Radhesham was asked, "Ki Prabhu, new Nakul group devotees come to voice, and they have so much difficulty in getting up early in the morning. They don't get up early in the morning only. They come late for morning program and they don't get up." So Prabhuji asked, "Don't tell me whether they wake up or don't wake up. You tell me whether they sleep on time." I said, "No, Prabhuji, they don't sleep on time." He said, "This is the problem." He said, "If person sleeps on the time and doesn't come for morning program, then I said, we should not too much worry." I said, "Acha, bro, if somebody sleeps at 9 p.m. and still gets up at 7 a.m., then there is no problem?" He said, "No problem." जादू है तो एकदम जादू हो गया है तो. वो पक्का तमोगुणी व्यक्ति है, पक्का तमोगुणी व्यक्ति है. इतना सो ही नहीं सकता कोई. या तो डिसीज है, बेचारा बीमार है, रात को 9 बजे सो के भी सुबह 7 बजे नहीं उठ पा रहा है. He said a person who sleeps early will automatically wake up early. बेचारा बोर हो जाएगा, सो सो के बोर हो जाएगा. So he said sleeping early is the key for happy spiritual life. So we have to prioritize sleeping early. Prioritize sleeping early. This is the key to happy spiritual life. So this is the and second is eating. Eating only as much as required. So one should not make a very elaborate plan for eating. So because we should know if eating is done little excess or not properly, it will produce another kind of tamoguna. So it is said one should fill the stomach half with the food. So 50% food, 25% water, and 25% air should be there in the body. This is as per Madhusudan Saraswati, one of the acharyas. It is said 50% food, 25% water, and 25% air. But generally, we feel 90% food, and there is no space for water and air. And then produces problems of all air problem and food problem and water problem. All these problems come because we don't keep any space for air and water only. So 50%. So how to understand whether stomach is full or not? How to anyone knows? Anyone has experienced how to understand whether our hunger is gone or not? What is the symptom? किसी को कुछ आइडिया? कैसे पता करना मेरा पेट खाना कोटा कंप्लीट हो गया करके? नहीं पता. ओके. सत्यनारायण प्रो कह रहे हैं ढेकर आएगा. बर्फ आएगा, बर्फ. एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम है कि यस विवेक प्रो.
मुझे एक दिन पूरा पेट भर के खाना चाहिए और दूसरे दिन उसका आधा, दूसरे दिन से उसका आधा।
ये तो अभी मॉडर्न प्रैक्टिस हो गया, इंटरमिटेंट फास्टिंग. इंटरमिटेंट फास्टिंग वाला कंसेप्ट जो अभी अभी आया है. इन जनरल मैं कह रहा हूँ कि कैसे समझेगा पेट भर गया कि नहीं भर गया? तो ये इन्होंने जो बताया, सत्यनारायण ने बताया, बर्फ आता है। वंस मैंने एक बार एक डिवोटी को पूछा, मुझे बर्फ ही नहीं आता प्रभु, मतलब क्या? तो मैं खा नहीं रहा हूँ या क्या कर रहा हूँ, मुझे बर्फ ही नहीं आता। तो बोले सबको आता है बर्फ। मैं बोला मुझे तो पता ही नहीं चलता कब आके चला गया बर्फ। पता भी नहीं चला। तो ही सेड बिकॉज आप लोग सत्व गुण में खाते नहीं हो। दैट डिवोटी वाज टेलिंग, आप लोग खाते खाते हो, कितना बातचीत करते हो, ये करते हो वो करते हो, कब आके चला गया पता भी नहीं चला आपको। इसे थोड़ा गुडनेस में खाओ। द वे प्रभुपाद एट, प्रभुपाद ने कितना पीसफुली खाना खाया। कीर्तन लगाओ, थोड़ा सा कुछ देखो सुनो, लेकिन इसे ज्यादा बातचीत मत करो। टू मच स्पीकिंग, we can hear, but we should not speak too much. And even if you want to speak, speak something about Krishna. Don't speak too much about politics, this, that. Then we don't realize, and then we tend to over it. So sattva guna is very important while eating also. So okay. So this is the, I can say, secret of spiritual life. Secret of spiritual life, like we say, na, secret of success in spiritual life is satisfaction of Guru. Secret of happy spiritual life is sleeping early at night. दैट्स द सीक्रेट। तो जब भी आपको लाइफ लगे गड़बड़ जा रही है, टारगेट बना लो, जीवन का गोल बना लो, 9:45 के पहले, 9:30 के पहले सोना है। सब कुछ राइट हो जाएगा, यही जीवन का गोल बना के देखो। देखो सब कुछ सेट हो जाएगा आपका जीवन। सो दिस इज लाइफ रिसेट बटन। लाइफ रिसेट बटन इज स्लीप अर्ली एट नाइट फॉर डिवोटीज। ओके, 17 श्लोक। युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तस्वप्नस्य युक्तचेतस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः। So very easy to remember shloka. The verse number is also 6.7. 6 plus 1 equals 7. You can remember. 6 plus 1 equal to 7. That is 6.1.7. Okay. So 6.17, this is the most quoted shloka we use in our preaching. Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. So many times devotees don't even come to know in which chapter this shloka is coming. And many times devotees quote this shloka also. But this is the shloka mainly for Ashtanga Yogi. That how Ashtanga Yoga, such a person needs Yukta Ahar. All other parts of yoga also need, but this is mainly quoted for Ashtanga Yogi. Yes, bro. Whose
He
turn?
who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can meditate on material pains by practicing the yoga system. Translation: extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block the advancement in the practice of a yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasad, sanctified food. Lord Lord Krishna is offered, according to the Bhagavad Gita 9.26, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness become automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption or not in the category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyartha kalatvam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His, his ideal in the respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes even not that. Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasad, nor even sleep for a moment, without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and is unattained by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him.
Yeah. Just read the next purport. Vishnu Chakra Thakur purport also you can read. Simple, small one.
Yukta means controlled. One who controls eating and walking, ahara viharasya, and controls actions such as speech, chetasya, during execution of both material and spiritual duties, karmeshu, performs yoga which destroys suffering.
So both material and spiritual duty. So for both the duties, this is very vital. Yukta. Yukta means control it. Controlled eating. Controlled vihara. Controlled speech. So he said this is the practice of yoga. And such a practice of yoga destroys suffering. So this is the way all sufferings are destroyed. So very famous shloka. I'll not go into much detail. 18th verse. यदा विनियतं चित्तम् निःस्पृह सर्वकामेभ्यो युक्त इति उच्यते तदा.
When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. Purport. The activities of the yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by his characteristic cessation from all kinds of material desires, of which sex is the chief. A perfect yogi is so well disciplined in the activities of mind that he can no longer be disturbed by any kind of material desire. This perfectional stage can automatically be obtained by persons in Krishna consciousness. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savay Mana Krishna Padara Bandayat Vacham Shri Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane Karo Harer Mandir Marjana Dishu Shrutim Chakar Achyuta Sat Kathodaya Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho Tad Bhritya Gatra Sparsha Anga Sangamam Granam च तत्पाद सरोज सौरभे श्रीमत् तुलस्यारसनम तदर्पिते पादौ हरेर क्षेत्र पादानुसर्पणे शिरौ हरे ऋषिकेश पादाभिवंदने काम कामं च दास्य न तु काम काम्य यथोत्तम श्लोक जनाश्रयरति. King Ambarish first of all engaged his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then, one after another, he engaged his words in describing the transcendental qualities of Lord, his hands in mopping the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the activities of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the transcendental form of the Lord, his body in touching the bodies of the devotees, his sense of smell in smelling the scent of the lotus flowers offered to the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulsi leaf offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, his legs in going to the places of pilgrimage and the temple of the Lord, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. This transcendental stage may be inexpressible subjectively by the followers of the impersonalist path, but it becomes very easy and practical for a person in Krishna consciousness, as is apparent in the above description of the engagements of Maharaj Ambarish. Unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of Lord by constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. In the devotional service of the Lord, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana, or engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. The senses and the mind require engagements. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind, as described above in the perfect process for transcendental achievement, which is called yukta in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So this is the engagement for mind, engagement for senses. So Prabhupada is giving a very devotional purport to it. This is the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga means he says how a yogi he disciplines his mental activities. So I was just discussing about this. There are different levels of celibacy: physical celibacy, mental celibacy, intellectual celibacy. So he said, a yogi disciplines his mind. So and he becomes devoid of all material desires. So he said, till now there was a discussion on disciplining his body, sleeping early and then eating less. This is mainly about disciplining the body. But now there is a need of discipline for mind also. And how a mind should be disciplined? By giving him engagement. So this is like a mental celibacy, giving the right kind of engagement. Because if we do not give mind the right engagement, it will go for a wrong engagement. So now we have to give a mind engagement, something which engages our mind. Many times what happens in Krishna consciousness, we give engagement for body. We are doing services, but our mind is not engaged. Actually, we should do services with absorption of mind. When we are attending Mangalarti, mind should be focused on remembering each and every meaning of the para and thinking about devotion and offering flower. The mind has to be engaged. That's why Mama Mana Mandire Raho Nishidin Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari Bhakti Priti Mala Chandana Tumi Niyo He Niyo Chetanandan. So we said giving engagement to the mind. So we have to give engagement to the mind. Many times we are giving engagement to the body. So much service we are doing, but mind is not disciplined. So something which touches our mind, like you see, like certain times we watch a movie. You watch a movie, it makes a profound impact on your mind also. It is not that the only body. You just sit in the cinema theater, you watch a movie for next 5 6 days. This all things are coming in your mind again and again. Why? Because this is a impression given to the mind. So similarly, when we do our sadhana, it should really also make impact on the mind. It should not just be just at least mind, intelligence. It should make an impact. Otherwise, we are just doing the routine of doing an activity. Similarly, like we are attending these classes now. So now we can attend this class in a multiple manner. So sometimes our only ears are hearing. That's all. Ears are hearing, some information is going. But if you're really thinking about it, we're questioning about it, if you're making notes, if you're attentively attending, then it makes an impact on mind also. So like I can like hear the discussion on Ambrish Maharaj came. So how many of you have seen like recently on Narsingh Doordashi we saw one drama. This is very beautiful drama. In case you have not watched it, Prabhu, I really recommend you watching this drama. This is the drama available on RG Media of Amrish Maharaj. And this drama is called as Sadhavo Hridaya Mayam. Sadhavo Hridaya Mayam. Of this is a very beautiful drama made by our Chopati team. And you see, you watch this drama and you see for next 5 6 days, this drama will ring in your mind. This drama, that philosophical discussion. So this is based on the discussions of this is based on the book of Shivram Swami Maharaj. The very beautiful book, very beautiful book. You will get to get so much new information in this drama which you have not heard before, and it will make a profound impact on mind. So watch this drama, Sadhavo Hridayam Mayam. This very beautiful drama. So like this drama. So when we watch the movies, we find it makes impact on mind also. Similarly, why it happens? Because of absorption. So any kind of service which we do with absorption, he says, then what happens? Then the mind mental discipline also happens. So basically this shloka, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor. So Ambrish Maharaj has chosen to discipline his senses and mind. How? Okay, my mind will do this now. My ears will do this now. My senses will do this now. So it is his choice. By his choice, he has decided how he will give engagement for mind and senses. So this is called as mental discipline. Okay, I have to complete till verse number 23. Then I will take some questions. So little going faster. यथा दीपो निवतस्थो नेङ्कते सोपमा स्मृता योगिनो यतचित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमात्मनः.
As a lamb in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. Purport. A truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place.
Yeah. So I said absorption. Here the principle of absorption is coming. Again, we have to be absorbed. Now, how absorption comes? It is said absorption. How to become absorbed in spiritual life. So it is said, first thing is absorption comes by prolonged exposure. Prolonged exposure. Second is by mental discipline. Said mind is now, mental discipline is given. And so prolonged exposure to Krishna conscious activity and the mental discipline. So this causes absorption. So now you see gulab jamun. If gulab jamun has to become very tasty, then it requires a good exposure in the sugar syrup. If malpua has to become tasty or shahi tukada has to become tasty, then it requires prolonged exposure. If you just keep it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the sugar syrup will not sink in. Similarly, if you want that Krishna consciousness would sink in, then we require prolonged exposure to reading Srimad Bhagavatam, prolonged exposure to japa, and mental discipline. Put your mind into that activity. Don't do the activity without using mind. Mind should be in chanting. Mind should be in prasadam. Mind should be in those activities. Then it leads to absorption. Yes, Kaushik Prabhu.
Guruji, like we have physical discipline in the form of sitting, sleeping, and eating, a spiritual discipline in the form of attending morning pram. Similarly, Guruji, what are the examples of intellectual discipline and mental discipline?
Intellectual discipline is mainly reading Shastras regularly. Intelligence requires knowledge. For disciplining intelligence, there is a need of a knowledge. So Shastric knowledge. Shastric knowledge helps us to discipline our intelligence and mental discipline. Mental discipline means austerity. Mind becomes strong with austerities. So performing Krishna conscious austerity. Like I don't like to read Srila Prabhupada books. No, this is austerity for you to read. So this is a mental discipline. And when we read, it also disciplines intellectually. And then when intelligence is disciplined, it also disciplines us spiritually. So the simple example you can say, physical discipline means, okay, sleep properly so that you can read Srila Prabhupada books. Then intellectual discipline is, although it's so boring, I don't feel like, no, I discipline. So mental discipline is given. Mental discipline is, no, you have to read it. It's austerity which you have to perform. Third is intellectual discipline. Okay, now read and understand and contemplate on Srila Prabhupada's purpose, intellectual discipline. And slowly, then act upon it now. You have understood now that you have to chant Hare Krishna, you have to take prasadam now, don't eat anything except prasad. Now spiritual discipline. So all disciplines come. So mainly mental discipline is about austerities, intellectual discipline is about getting knowledge.
And Guruji, just one more thing. You told about celibacy. So physical and spiritual celibacy we can understand. Spiritual celibacy means not doing anything not connected to Krishna. But what is the difference between mental and intellectual celibacy?
Mental celibacy and intellectual celibacy. I know basically it's mainly about mental discipline, spiritual discipline only. Mental celibacy, now I don't know how to define mental celibacy. Physical we understand. Mental means what is what is breaking mental what is breaking intellectual celibacy that we know. So opposite of that is disciplining mental what do you say? So mental breaking mental celibacy means what? That engaging in the eight kinds of breaking the eight aspects of celibacy, manasa, karmana, vacha. So we said, and intelligence means using our intelligence for sense gratification. That is also intellectual celibacy. Using our mind for sense gratification. This is mental breaking the principle of mental celibacy. Breaking the principle. Now, opposite of that is that using the mind for Krishna consciousness by giving it seva, by giving it engagements, by disciplining it. That is mental celibacy. Similarly, using the intelligence for making plans with determination and in pure use of serving Krishna. That is Also intellectual celibacy. So the opposite of kama, anything opposite to kama is the opposite of kama is love, and opposite of love is kama. So I can just speculate like this, Prabhu. I did not read this, but I can speculate this way.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So here it is said lamp. The example of lamp is given here. The lamp. That as the lamp is very steady in the windless place, similarly the mind of be very steady and absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Okay, can you read this, Kaushik Pro? Please read.
How do we describe that perfected yogi? The flame, Sahadipaha, in a windless place does not flicker but remain glowing. Those knowledgeable of yoga consider Smrita, the flame, to be exactly similar, Yathavat Upama, to the meditating yogi. The dropping of the Visarga of Saha and then joining it with Upama for metrical reasons is according to the rules of Sochi Lope Chet Pada Puranam, Panini 6.1.134. The word Upama comparison here stands for Upamana, object of comparison. What is it similar to? It is similar to the yogi whose internal functions have been completely stopped, yet chita, who performs meditation, yogam, on the Atma. This yogi whose knowledge has awakened, whose internal functions have ceased in relation to all objects except Atma, is similar to a motionless, glowing flame.
Yeah. So basically, absorption. So this is the last shloka we'll take for today. This is a big shloka, 20, 21, 22, 23. All shlokas in one only. Yatro paramate chittam nirudham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukham atyantikam yattat उद्विग्रायम् अतीन्द्रियं वेत्ति यत्र न चैवायं स्थितश्चलति तत्त्वतः यं लब्ध्वा चापरं लाभं मन्यते नाधिकं तथा यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचिल्यते तं विद्या दुःखसंयोग वियोगं योगसंवितम्.
Translation. In the state of perfection, called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to release and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no better gain, no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Purport. By practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. This is the primary characteristic of a yoga principle. And after this, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realizes the super soul through the transcendental mind and intelligence, without any of the misgivings of the without any of the misgivings of the identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of the Patanjali system. Some unauthorized commentators try to identify the individual soul with the super soul, and the monists think that this to be liberation, but they do not understand the real purpose of the Patanjali system of yoga. There is an acceptance of transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. The duality of knowledge and the knower is not accepted by the non-dualist, but in this verse, transcendental pleasure, realized through transcendental senses, is accepted. And this is corroborated by Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of the yoga system. The great sage declares in his Yoga Sutras, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiprashavah Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtha Ya Chiti Shaktiriti. This Chiti Shakti or internal potency is transcendental. Purushartha means the material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, the attempt to become one with the Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is called Kaivalyam by the monist. But according to Patanjali, this Kaivalyam is an internal or transcendental
potency by which the living entity becomes aware of its constitutional position. In the words of Lord Chaitanya, this state of affairs is called Chetodarpanam Marjanam, or clearance of the impure mirror of the mind. This clearance is actually liberation, or Bhava Dava Agni Nirvapanam. The theory of Nirvan also preliminary corresponds with this principle. In the Bhagavatam, this is called Swarupena Vivastita. The Bhagavad Gita also confirms this situation in this verse. After Nirvan or material cessation, there is the manifestation of the spiritual activities or devotional service to the Lord, known as Krishna consciousness. In the words of Bhagavatam, Swarupena Vyavastitya, this is the real life of the living entity. Maya or illusion is the condition of spiritual life contaminated by material infection. Liberation from this material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity. Patanjali also accepts this by his words Kaivalyam Swarupena Pratishtha Ya Chiti Shakti Riti. This Chiti Shakti or transcendental pleasure is real life. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutras 1.1.12 as Anandamaya Abhyasa. This natural transcendental pleasure is the ultimate goal of yoga and easily achieved by execution of devotional service or bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga will be vividly described in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the yoga system, as described in this chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi called sam, sampragyata samadhi and asampragyata samadhi. When one becomes situated in the transcendental position of various philosophical researchers, he is said to have achieved some pragyata samadhi. In the asampragyata samadhi, there is no longer any connection with the mundane pleasures, for one is then transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from senses. When the yogi is once situated in that transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach this position, he is unsuccessful. Today's so-called yoga practice, which involves various sense pleasures, is contradictory. A yogi indulging in sex and intoxication is a mockery. Even those yogis who are attracted by the siddhis, perfections, in the process of yoga are not perfectly situated. If the yogis are attracted by the byproducts of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection as stated in this verse. Persons therefore indulging in the make-show practice of gymnastic feats or siddhis should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. The best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. A Krishna conscious person is so happy in his occupation that he does not aspire for any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy, to practice the Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Gyan Yoga. But there is no such problem in executing Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. As long as material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure Bhakti Yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of the bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He's callous towards incidental occurrence, such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even death of a most dear relative. But he is always alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Agama Paino Nityas Tam Sutikshasya Bharata. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in yoga practice.
So very big purport. So basically, this is the all these four shlokas are speaking about what kind of realization a person who has attained samadhi gets it. So first symptom is that his consciousness is completely free from all kinds of material activities. Second is his mind has become so pure that and he's very satisfied. His triptatma is very satisfied. Third is he gets a lot of joy from inside only. He gets a joy within. Anandam. Ki anandam buddhi vardhanam. So he said, so like this, there are some symptoms which are being mentioned here. So I just thought to end with this one small discussion about the principle of satisfaction. So these are the some, I think if you, this is the entire purport in a short. So this is the whatever we read in the purport. So just I copy pasted some points from there that yam labdhva cha param labham manyate nadikam tatah. So especially for the principle of samadhi, one very vital thing which is required is satisfaction. Now, is satisfaction an emotion or is satisfaction a choice? Okay, question to all of you. How many of you, what can you please answer? If you say it's a, yeah, you can write in chat box quickly. All of you can write. Is satisfaction an emotion or is satisfaction a choice? Okay, Akshay was saying choice. Choice. Abandonment was emotion. Kaushik was saying choice. Ashish was saying choice. Okay, all of you are from voice, so you're saying choice. Okay, so yeah, satisfaction is not just it's a choice of an emotion. Satisfaction is a choice of emotion. It's emotion, but we can choose it. It is in our choice. It is not that key. So you see, there comes once upon a time, His Grace, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was giving a lecture to people of yoga in Govardhaniko village. Very, very new people had come, very, very new people. And Maharaj spoke about the story of Sridhar Kolavecha. बोला अरे नए लोगों को भी महाराज श्रीधर कोलविचा के बारे में बता रहे वन टाइम प्रोग्राम फॉर ऑल गोवर्धनिको विलेज yogis and Maharaj spoke something very very beautifully. Maharaj spoke. So Maharaj started with the story of a Parikshit Maharaj, that how Parikshit Maharaj was very very respectful to every living entities. So this is the teaching principle that Maharaj tells a story. Parikshit Maharaj used to respect everyone, even animals. So it is said in the path of yoga, one should respect even animals the way one loves himself. So see, we cannot tell the yogi person that you stop eating meat directly, especially Westerners. So Maharaj said very beautifully and intelligently, Maharaj says that a person should love even birds, even animals, even everyone, even an insect should be loved like this. One should not unnecessarily kill them. So beautifully Maharaj speaks like that. And then Maharaj started saying that Maharaj started saying about the story of Sridhar Kolavecha. Now you see, Sridhar Kolavecha is a person who was, all of us know the story of Sridhar Kolavecha, who was a banana seller, and Nimai Pandit used to come and argue with him for hours and hours together. And later, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come and he used to bargain and used to tell, I know how much wealthy you are. You are hiding this wealth with everyone. And like that, he used to, every day the pastime used to happen. That time, Sridhar Kolavecha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very, very pleased with Sridhar Kolavecha. And he says, okay, you tell me what benediction you want. And that time, he doesn't ask for any benediction. He doesn't want anything. He said, I can give you wealth. I can give you whatever you want. Sridhar Kolavecha says, no, 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 no to everything. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes upset. You ask something, I'm a Lord, Supreme Lord. So he said, actually, by the way, if you think, I am actually, I am satisfied in my life. I don't need anything. I am very, very satisfied. He said, if you see in the matter of time, there is no difference between birds and there is no difference between a king. He said, if you see birds, the birds in the tree and the king who lives in palace, he also sleeps, he also sleeps. He sleeps on grass, he sleeps on the royal beds. He also goes for a mating, he also goes for a mating. He also has some food to eat. If you technically see, after the death of the both people, bird also died, king also died. And unless the king is a very spiritual personality, both people they just lived their life and then they died. That's all. In the matter of passing away of time after 50, 60 years. Now you see somebody, how many of you know who invented wristwatch? I think I don't know. I don't know. Who invented the concept of watch? Very few people know. And neither even if we know, we don't remember such person. So all the material achievements in the world, whatever big, big material achievements we are thinking, this to be done, that to be done, all the comparisons which we do, and this and that, if you take it from 50, 100 years down the line, no one is going to remember this. Everyone is going to even, we don't know also now. Some of you may not know. There was like currently today is a trend of Facebook. Facebook is in demand. So we all know Facebook. When I was when I was a young child, that time there was a concept called as Orkut. And this Orkut was so famous. People were mad after it. Today, nobody even knows Orkut. What is Orkut? So you see that all the big, big achievements of this world, they will soon become pale. So he said, one has to learn to be satisfied. We have to make a satisfaction. We have to make a choice of being satisfied in our life. Then only, when we are satisfied, then we can think about samadhi. Otherwise, when you are not satisfied in our life, then we have to make a choice. No, I have been given enough that what I require. I have been given food to eat. I have been given place to sleep. I have been given a good, some basic good job to earn the money and live the livelihood. Now I'm satisfied. Now let me be focused. But there is a big problem with the comparison. Comparison is a cancer of mind. It's a cancer of mind. And these comparisons will never stop. We keep on comparing the job and the salaries and the promotions and facilities. There is no end to this comparison business. So one has to make a choice of being satisfied. When one is satisfied like this, then he can go to the platform of samadhi. So everything I have already exceeded. So in the how we will do in the next week, Prabhu. Next week we'll try to cover some few more, and in the last week it may happen that we have to take instead of 2 sessions, we may have to take 3 sessions in the last week. That is the last week, whichever will come. So, is it okay if we can take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Prabhu? I'm just trying. I will try to complete in 2 days only. But in case if required, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because by this end of this month, I've been given target to complete this chapter, complete this entire all the first unit. So we'll try in the last week. We may try to take 3 sessions, and then we'll cover up like that. Then you have to submit your exams and all that. So thank you very much, Prabhus. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu devatsa patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.